fiancé paid for my college classes, I ended up hooking up with other students, and he found out. I honestly don't even know where to start with this. My life is a complete mess right now, and everyone around me thinks I got what I deserved. Maybe I did. I'm 22, I just got expelled from college, I'm broke, my fiancé dumped me, and my parents basically want nothing to do with me. The story everyone knows makes me sound like the worst person alive, like I'm some ungrateful fiancé who cheated on the guy who paid for her future. And yeah, that part is true, I screwed up. But nobody really understands what it was like for me. Nobody knows how trapped I felt, how much I wanted to just live like everyone else my age. I didn't plan for any of this to happen. I didn't wake up one day and say, oh yeah, let me ruin my whole life. It just spiraled, and now I've lost everything. Before I even met Daniel, I was just floating. I was 20, living at home, doing random crap jobs like waitressing, babysitting, folding clothes, and retail. Everyone around me seemed to have a plan, or at least some direction, and I was just stuck. I wasn't dumb, but I wasn't college material either. My grades were average, I didn't have money for tuition, and I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I'd watch girls I went to school with posting pictures in dorms, going to frat parties, wearing sorority sweatshirts, and I'd feel this weird pit in my stomach. Like I'd missed the train, and everyone else was moving on, while I was still stuck in the same small town, just helping my mom with groceries and clocking shifts for minimum wage. Then my dad, Rick, brings Daniel over one day. Daniel was only 21, but already walking around with that fake-it-till-you-make-it confidence. He was in this network marketing business, one of those supplement companies where you recruit people and sell health shakes. My dad never really cared for that kind of stuff, but even he said, that kid's got potential, he's going places. And I swear, hearing that from my dad, a man who'd been working blue-collar jobs his whole life, made me look at Daniel differently. Daniel wasn't like the guys my age. He dressed sharp, had a decent car, talked like he was already a millionaire in the making. He kept dropping lines about financial freedom and being your own boss. At first I thought it was kind of cheesy, but the more I talked to him, the more I realized this guy actually believed it. And maybe I needed someone like that in my life. We started dating not long after. Honestly, I don't even remember exactly how it happened. I just know I flirted, he noticed, and before I knew it, we were going on business lunches that turned into dates. With Daniel, everything felt bigger than the small town I was stuck in. He was ambitious. He had drive. And I liked that he looked at me like I could fit into that world too. Looking back, I don't think I was ever head over heels in love with him the way movies make it seem. It was more like security, stability. He made me feel like my life could finally have a direction, and I clung to that. The proposal wasn't exactly some fairy tale either. I kind of pushed him into it. I told him my dad didn't really approve of us just dating without being serious. Daniel was already eager to prove himself, so he went along with it. He bought me this diamond ring. Nothing crazy, but flashy enough that I could show it off to friends and post about it. Everyone thought I was lucky, and maybe I was. But here's where things started shifting. After we got engaged, I couldn't stop thinking about all the things I was missing out on. Girls my age were at universities living the life, and I was basically acting like some housewife before even turning 21. I'd scroll through Instagram and feel this deep ache in my chest. I wanted that experience too. One night I told Daniel straight up, I wanted to go to college. My dad didn't have that kind of money, and I wasn't smart enough to get in on scholarships. I thought Daniel would laugh it off or tell me to be realistic, but instead he said, we're a team, I'll pay for it, you'll get your degree, and we'll build our future together. It sounded perfect, but I couldn't just accept it outright. I had too much pride. So I made this big deal about how I didn't want his money, how I was independent, how if he did this, it would have to be a loan, not a gift. Daniel was all business, so he loved that idea. He actually drafted up a loan agreement, like a real one, with 10% interest and everything. My dad even co-signed it, so it was legit. He framed it as an investment in my future, and honestly, at the time, I thought I'd never actually have to pay him back. Like, if we got married, it would all be our money anyway, right? So that was the setup. Daniel thought he was building us a future. My dad thought Daniel was this dream son-in-law who could give me the life he never could. And me? I thought I was finally about to taste the kind of life my friends were living. I thought college would be my chance to actually feel young, to figure myself out, instead of being locked into someone else's plan. The college I ended up at was about 2 hours away from home, which sounded perfect at the time, close enough that I could drive back on weekends, far enough that I finally felt like I had my own space. At first, I really did try to balance everything. I'd go to class during the week, then drive home Friday night, spend the weekend with Daniel, go back Sunday night. It felt like the responsible thing to do. But honestly, within a couple of months, that routine felt exhausting. Everyone at school was making friends, going out, doing things on weekends, and I was packing my bag to go back home and play house. People would ask, "You heading out tonight?" And I'd have to explain I was going back to see my fiancé. The looks I'd get, like half confusion, half pity. I started hating how tied down it made me feel. The campus lifestyle sucked me in way faster than I expected. The first time I went to a dorm party, I swear my eyes were wide the whole night. Music blasting, people making out in corners, everyone passing around drinks and joints like it was nothing. It was messy and loud and kind of trashy, but I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. Back home, it was Daniel talking about business plans and financial freedom. Here, it was just fun, no pressure, no expectations. And the couples. God, everywhere you looked on campus, people were holding hands, kissing in the quad, sneaking off together after class. It hit me harder than I thought it would. I'd never had that typical young, carefree romance. I went straight from being my dad's daughter to being Daniel's fiancé. Suddenly I realized I'd missed out on something huge, and being surrounded by it made the gap even worse. That's when I stopped wearing my engagement ring. At first it was practical. I told myself I didn't want to lose it at a party or it clashed with my outfit. But the truth? I didn't want people to know. I didn't want to be the girl everyone whispered about. Oh, she's already engaged. So I just didn't mention it. When people asked if I was single, I didn't say yes, but I sure as hell didn't say no either. I liked the attention too much. Meanwhile, Daniel thought everything was fine. I'd text him about my classes, tell him about assignments, call him on weekends, but slowly I started skipping trips home. I'd say I had a group project, or midterms, or that I was too tired to drive, and he always believed me. He trusted me completely, which almost made it worse. I don't know if people reading this will get it, but being at that school felt like stepping into an entirely different world. At home, I was Jessica, the fiancé, the responsible one. On campus, I could be whoever I wanted. And honestly, I liked that version of me better. There was this guy in my psych class, Ethan. Honestly, he was kind of a mess. Scruffy hair, always half asleep looking, wearing the same hoodie like 3 days in a row. But he actually paid attention to me. Like he'd remember if I said I hated mornings, or if I mentioned a song I liked. He'd make me laugh in class, and it felt easy, not serious. With Daniel, everything was about plans and where we'll be in 5 years. With Ethan, it was just dumb jokes and late-night study sessions that turned into talking for hours. Around the same time, I started dressing different. At first, it was just because I noticed how the girls at uni looked. Everyone was wearing crop tops, little skirts, low-cut shirts. They looked good, they got noticed, they had fun. Meanwhile, I was walking around in jeans and sweaters, looking like somebody's babysitter. I wanted to feel like I fit in, so I started buying different clothes. Stuff that showed some cleavage, bralette tops, even bikini-style tops that I'd wear under open shirts. I wanted to look hot, and honestly, I did. Daniel had no clue. If I needed cash, I'd just tell him I had to buy a new textbook or pay for some extra lab fee. He never asked questions, he'd just send the money. He probably thought I was in the library with my nose in a book when really I was out buying a skirt that barely covered anything. The first party I went to dressed like that, I can't even explain it. For the first time in my life, people looked at me. Guys noticed me. I felt young, free, like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And when someone passed me a joint, I took it. I'd never tried before because Daniel would have hated it. He was the type to go on about how drugs ruin potential or whatever. But in that moment, nobody was judging me. I coughed like an idiot on the first hit, but after a while I felt light, happy. Like the weight of everyone's expectations had slid off me. That night, Ethan kissed me in the kitchen, and I didn't stop him. I didn't even think about Daniel. I kissed him back, and it felt natural. Like, isn't that what people my age are supposed to be doing? going to parties, making out, not thinking about mortgages and investments. After that, it was easy. Too easy. Ethan and I started hooking up whenever, sometimes after class, sometimes after parties. I told myself it was normal, that this was college and everyone was doing it. And in a way, I felt like I was finally catching up on everything I'd missed out on. But it didn't stop with Ethan. I downloaded Bumble one night when I was bored in my dorm. At first, I just swiped for fun, but then I went on a date, then another. Coffee, drinks, hookups. It became like a game. Getting dressed up in the little tops Daniel unknowingly paid for, putting on makeup, walking into a bar knowing I'd go home with someone. The thrill of it was addictive. Every time Daniel sent me money for books, it ended up paying for weed, shots, or a new bralette. And every time he texted, "Proud of you, babe," I'd be sitting there laughing with some guy who didn't even know my real situation. I know people will judge me for this, but I'm being honest. I liked it. I liked feeling wanted. I liked feeling young. I liked that nobody was breathing down my neck, telling me how to act or dress. For once, I wasn't just somebody's fiancé, I was me. But my fun ended before it even really began. I was in the middle of giving this guy, not Ethan, just some random Bumble date, a blowjob in my dorm when the door opened. At first, I didn't even turn around because I thought it was my roommate coming back early. I figured she'd roll her eyes, maybe laugh, maybe be annoyed, but she'd seen enough parties to not care. I took a few seconds, still focused on what I was doing, until I heard it. The sharp click of a camera phone. That sound froze me harder than anything. I whipped around, wiping my mouth, and there was Daniel, standing in the doorway, holding a little gift bag in one hand and his phone in the other. His face looked like he'd been hit by a truck. Shock, then rage, all in the span of a breath. The Bumble guy jumped back like he'd been burned, fumbling to pull up his jeans, mumbling, "Shit, man, I didn't know." But Daniel didn't even let him finish. He lunged at him, shoved him against the wall, and punched him straight in the jaw. The sound of it was sickening. The guy stumbled, blood already on his lip, trying to grab his stuff while Daniel was in his face, spitting out, "Get out before I call the cops. I'll report every damn thing in this room." The guy bolted, clutching his lip, and suddenly it was just me and Daniel. I was still on the floor, shaking, trying to pull my hoodie on, my heart hammering so hard I couldn't breathe. Daniel didn't yell right away. He just looked around, at the half-empty bottle on the desk, at the joint stubbed out in an ashtray, at the pile of clothes on the floor. Then he turned to my dresser, opened my jewelry box, and pulled out the engagement ring I hadn't worn in weeks. It was sitting right on top of some hair ties like it was worthless. He stared at it for a second before shoving it into his pocket. Then he looked at me. His voice was low, shaking with anger, but almost worse than shouting. "This is who you are now? I pay for your school, I believe in you, and this is what you're doing?" I tried to speak, words tumbling out. "It's not what it looks like," which was insane because it was exactly what it looked like. He cut me off, pulled out his phone again, and started taking pictures. Snap, the weed. Snap, the vodka. Snap, the messy bed behind me. "Daniel, stop!" I reached for him, but he shoved me off like I was nothing. "You think I'm stupid? You've been lying to me this whole time, taking my money, living like this. I'm making sure everyone sees what you really are." That's when I hated him the most. Not even because I got caught, but because he had the audacity to come into my space and act like he owned me. Like he had the right to judge me for drinking, smoking, hooking up, when he'd never understand what it was like to actually be young. If he hadn't been so uptight, if he'd let me live a little, maybe none of this would have happened. But of course I didn't say that out loud. He stuffed his phone in his pocket, picked up the gift bag. I'd later find out it had some dumb bear and chocolates in it, like he thought he was being romantic, and glared at me one last time. "We're done. You're going to regret this, Jessica. I promise you." Then he walked out, slamming the door behind him. The silence afterward was unbearable. My neighbors had definitely heard everything. I could hear whispers outside the door. The guy I'd been with was long gone, and I was sitting there, hoodie half on, tears running down my face, realizing my life had just exploded in less than 2 minutes. Daniel didn't just dump me and disappear like I thought he would. No, he made sure my whole life fell apart. 2 days after he caught me, I get called into the dean's office. I walk in thinking maybe it's about my attendance or something. Nope. They slide these pictures across the desk. My room trashed, vodka bottles, the joint on my desk, even me in the corner of one of the photos. My heart literally dropped. Daniel had gone to the college with proof. They didn't even bother pretending I had a chance. Conduct violation, drugs on campus. Boom, expelled, just like that. Didn't matter that half the dorms looked like mine. Didn't matter if it was even my weed. It was in my room, my responsibility. I begged, tried to say it wasn't all mine, but they looked at me like I was pathetic. And of course, the whole campus found out in like 10 minutes. College gossip spreads faster than anything. Suddenly, people who partied with me wouldn't even make eye contact. My roommate wouldn't talk to me. I could feel people whispering when I walked by. All anyone saw was that girl who cheated on the guy paying her tuition and got busted for weed. And then the final nail. Daniel shows up at my parents' house. He's sitting at the kitchen table with this folder like it's some business deal. My mom's fidgeting, my dad's staring, and Daniel pulls out the loan papers. My signature. My dad's signature as co-signer. Every detail spelled out. He looks right at me and says, "You're paying me back every cent, with interest, or I'll sue." And because my dad co-signed, it's not just me screwed, it's him too, which is why he hates me now. I couldn't even speak. I wanted to scream at him, call him crazy, tell him he ruined my life, but he wasn't bluffing. He had everything. And my dad? Instead of being on my side, he turns to me and says, "Jessica, what the hell have you done?" Like Daniel was his kid and I was the outsider. Then Daniel looks me dead in the eye and says, "Don't ever show me your disgusting face again." And then he just walks out. Like the time in my life I spent on that relationship meant nothing. My mom cried, my dad couldn't even look at me, and I just sat there. I wanted to explain, to tell them I wasn't trying to be evil. I just wanted to live my life, to be young for once. But none of them cared. To them, Daniel was this hero who tried to save me, and I was the selfish bitch who ruined it all. So that's where I'm at now. No school, no ring, no Daniel, no respect from my parents, just me sitting here broke, kicked out, and stuck with a loan hanging over my head that I can't even begin to pay back. Everyone thinks I deserve this. They think it's some kind of justice story. The loyal, hardworking fiancé gets betrayed by the ungrateful bitch, and now she's ruined. They all eat that up. Nobody wants to hear how suffocating it felt to watch everyone my age living the life I never got. Nobody wants to know what it was like feeling trapped before I even figured out who I was. Nobody will ever admit that he crushed me just as much as I betrayed him. They'll never see it my way. Daniel will always look like the hero in this story, the guy who believed in me, who funded my future, who got stabbed in the back. That's the version people want. And me, I'll always be the villain, the liar, the cheater, the girl who blew it all for parties and hookups. But I swear it's not that simple. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I just wanted to feel normal, to be young, to wear what I wanted, smoke if I wanted, kiss whoever I wanted without being judged. And yeah, maybe I went too far, but I don't think I deserve to have my whole life destroyed for it. Now I don't know what's next. I've got no fiancé, no degree, no plan, just a pile of debt with Daniel's name on it and everyone in my life looking at me like I'm disgusting. Maybe they're right. Maybe I really did ruin everything. But I can't shake the feeling that I never even got the chance to live before it all blew up.